Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something that's happening right under our noses. We're talking about the invisible erosion of wealth. You know, we live in an era where our money is quietly, consistently, and just systematically disappearing from our bank accounts. And the crazy thing is, it's not happening through some dramatic market crash or a terrible investment. It's happening in sneaky little increments of $9.99.
Picture this scenario for a second. What if a remarkably polite burglar just waltzed right into your living room, opened your wallet, took out a crisp $15 bill, tipped his hat, and walked out? And what if he did this every single month? I mean, you'd absolutely call the cops. You'd change your locks. You'd stop it immediately. But in our modern digital economy, we just let them. We literally invite them in. It's the invisible heist of the subscription economy.
$273. Honestly, that number completely blew my mind. That is the average amount US households drop on subscriptions every single month. Let that sink in for a second. That is over $3,200 a year. It's this silent drain that is fundamentally eroding American wealth, month after month. So, how did we get here? How did we get so complacent about this?
Well, let's dive right into part one, the friction fiasco. To understand how we're bleeding hundreds of dollars a month, we really have to look at the systemic weapons these companies use to keep us paying. Think about it. When you want to sign up for a service, it is a frictionless utopia, isn't it? You see a targeted ad, you tap a button, your phone recognizes your face, and boom, you're subscribed. One click, a nice little rush of dopamine. But what happens when you actually want to leave? Companies engineer this nightmarish, nearly impossible cancellation process. It's basically an exhausting labyrinth designed for one specific reason: to make you give up.
Let's be real. The typical cancellation journey for a US gym or a niche streaming service is basically a video game boss fight. First off, you have to hunt down a cancel link that's buried like 6 menus deep in your account settings. Then, you get hit with the guilt trip. Screens literally begging, "Are you sure you want to lose all your progress?" Next, they just completely remove the online option, forcing you to call a US customer service center, which is of course only open during the exact hours you're at work. Then, you wait on hold forever, listening to awful acoustic guitar music. And finally, step 5, you surrender. You hang up and tell yourself, whatever, I'll just do it tomorrow. Your own time basically becomes the hostage.
Now, what's really interesting is that there's an actual term for this. It's called frictional asymmetry. And I want to be super clear about this. This isn't an accident. It's not just quote-unquote bad customer service. It is a highly profitable, deliberately engineered system. They completely remove all friction from you handing over your credit card, and then they dump a mountain of friction in front of you when you try to take it back. They are actively exploiting human behavior.
And the harsh truth is, our own brains are kind of accomplices in this heist. Psychologists call it the status quo bias. We humans deeply, profoundly prefer things to just stay exactly as they are. Doing something, literally anything at all, takes cognitive energy. Doing absolutely nothing, that takes zero energy. Frictional asymmetry weaponizes our status quo perfectly. The system knows you're exhausted after work, and it knows that putting off a $10 cancellation is the absolute easiest choice your brain can make. Which brings us to part 2, the profit of absence. Let's shift gears from the psychology of us, the consumers, to the actual business models of these corporations.
Think about the breakdown of US gym revenue for a second. There is a massive, massive portion of revenue coming from what we can call ghost members. These are people paying every single month who haven't even scanned their key tag in over a year. And here is the wildly counterintuitive insight. Many US businesses genuinely do not want you to show up. Their entire business model relies on the profit of your absence. I mean, if every single person who paid for a gym membership in America showed up on a Monday at 5 p.m., the physical infrastructure of the gyms would instantly collapse. They are selling a service they mathematically cannot provide to everyone. They need you to stay home.
And we see the exact same reality in digital media. There is this stark contrast between active, daily streaming usage and just dormant paying accounts. These platforms make an absolute fortune off Americans who simply forget they're even subscribed. You know the drill. You sign up for a free trial just to watch one specific documentary, the trial rolls over into a paid tier, and you completely forget the app even exists on your smart TV. Your dormancy is literally their primary revenue stream.
So you might be wondering, why did we just cancel the very second we realize we aren't using something? Well, that brings us to part 3, the aspirational identity trap. And honestly, this is the deepest, sneakiest psychological hook that keeps us locked into this whole invisible heist.
It basically boils down to this concept, the fantasy you. When you pay $30 a month for a language learning app you never open, or $50 for some complex productivity software you never even configured, you aren't actually buying a service. You're paying rent for a version of yourself that simply doesn't exist. You're funding a fantasy.
Think about the massive cognitive dissonance we experience here. On one side, there's the actual you. You're tired, you're chilling on the couch, and you just want to watch a sitcom after a long, hard day. Totally fine. But on the other side, that's the aspirational you. This is the version of you who naturally wakes up at 5 a.m., is a dedicated fitness guru, and is magically fluent in conversational French. Our actual, everyday reality violently clashes with these idealized identities that we fund every single month.
And the financial cost of this future self is just staggering. We end up paying what I like to call guilt taxes. Because if you finally cancel that fitness app, you are forcing yourself to admit that you just aren't going to work out. If you cancel the language app, you're admitting defeat on learning French. The sunk cost fallacy kicks right in. We keep paying and paying because hitting that cancel button feels like a personal failure. We are literally paying for potential rather than actual utility.
Which brings me to the final question I want to leave you with today. The next time you look at all those subscriptions quietly draining money from your accounts, ask yourself this: are you funding your actual life, or are you just paying rent for a fantasy?